it's almost like that kind of. It's not the. I always get this one wrong. It's not the libido effect because that's not. What is it when you you have like a pre-workout and you,
What, placebo effect? Libido effect.
I would say. So the placebo effect. It's like
Take this, you will be horny as fuck for the rest of the day. 5 signs that you need help.
I'll eat healthy food Monday through till Friday, and then I'll just massively overconsume at the weekend.
Yeah.
And then it's, okay, back to eating healthy again on the Monday.
But they assume that eating healthy automatically means you'll be losing weight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Like, you can literally get everything from mine and Jake's page, on Instagram to get yourself into great shape. Like
every podcast.
Off his podcast as well. The reality is, you probably won't do it without the support and the accountability.
Yeah. I just need to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what's going to make you do it? You've not been doing it up to this point, and you're not going to make yourself do it.
Yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning, I'll have fish and a rice cake.
All right, welcome back.
Welcome back. Fish and a rice
cake, yeah. I'm Jake.
I'm Jake, I think.
Again, back to try and give you some non-sciencey. I said sciencey last time, some non-sciencey.
Did you say sciencey?
I did in Monday.
Oh.
I've just the
you
episode
can't
that's
do
come
that,
out
mate.
today.
Yeah.
When I was editing it on Monday,
You noticed it was like
I said sciencey and you called me out on it. You're like non-sciencey.
Okay.
No, it's non-sciencey.
Yeah, non-sciencey.
Non-sciencey, but usually ranty fitness advice to hopefully try and help you get a bit of a result, whether that's fat loss, building muscle, whatever it is.
Yes.
We're here to try and help.
That is what we're here to try and do.
Actually, it was interesting at the weekend I was at a friend's engagement party and I was chatting to a friend who I don't speak to that often, and he listens to the podcast.
All right.
And he watches a lot of my social stuff, and I didn't know he did, but he was saying he really likes how it's it's not. And this, I was quite pleased because I was like, well, that's what we're trying to do with it. It was like, it's not just science, boring sort of lecture stuff. He was like, it's a really nice dynamic where it's like a bit more conversational, but you know that if we had to go into the science, we can go down that route if we want to.
We can do. We can do it. We've got that in the locker, but we just. But the thing is, because I used to listen to all the sciencey podcasts, like when I did. Yeah. Bearing in mind, obviously,
I still do every now and again.
Yeah, I do as well. Like, but bearing in mind, I've got an interest in fitness, like more so than probably what the normal person would do. So for like, if I was an office worker and I was just wanting to get myself in better shape, I don't care about the science. Do you know what I mean? I just want to get like you always just want to hear about the things you actually need to do and implement.
Yeah, the stuff that's going to make a difference.
Stuff that's going to make a difference, right? Yeah. And, the grams of carbs and fats and stuff. It's just not that important.
And that's what we said. Like, we work in this job and even we struggle to sit through the more lecture-y science-based ones sometimes. So it's like, well, why the hell would we want to try and put someone else through that who's not as interested? It's just not going to happen. And we'd be boring ourselves sat here talking about it.
Exactly.
But no, it's not. Do you get that sometimes where people that you won't expect to be like, oh yeah, listen to the podcast or watch your content? I never know how to react.
I told you once when I had a call with a guy and he said, actually, I had a bit of a starstruck moment. I don't know. I can't remember if he termed it. It definitely wasn't that. I'm probably just fucking blown.
You signed an autograph.
Yeah. But no, he said he was in the gym listening to my podcast.
Oh, you have told me this.
And then I walked past him.
Yeah.
And he was like, fucking hell. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
That was like a bit of a moment. I was like, oh shit, people actually listen to the podcast.
I never know what to say. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Cheers. I was like, yeah, we just enjoy doing it. We don't really do it for we're not trying to make it big or like.
We don't look at the views or anything.
We literally no.
I mean, I think we get like an email once a week to tell us how many downloads.
Once a week, it gets an email of like, you've had so many downloads this week.
Yeah, but I don't look at it and analyze it. I'm not actually that fussed. But it's interesting when you do click into it because you then see like the nations and it's like some fucking crazy,
all sorts.
Like Australia, like Korea, like it's like okay, that's pretty cool. But
yeah,
I've actually got a few clients in Australia, so maybe it's them. Maybe it's them listening.
Could be. I don't think I've got any in Australia actually.
Weirdly, recently I've taken on a few. So I've got Sophie, who is one of the coaches.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple in Melbourne, I want to say. Could get that completely wrong now. Ross and Charlotte, I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
Well, at least you've got somewhere to stay if you ever want to pop over.
That's it. That's what I was thinking. It's like, yeah, if I
I'd
go
love-
over to
I've been to Sydney. I would love to go back and see.
I've
see
never
more
been
of
at
it.
all. Never been at all.
I went on a rugby tour a few years ago, and I did a week in Sydney and went out to Manly as well because it's like a 15-minute ferry across to Manly, and then did a few excursions like the Blue Mountains and stuff. And then I did New Zealand for 2 weeks.
Oh, see, that is
New
like
Zealand was amazing.
bucket list for me.
Yeah,
that.
we did Hobbiton. Hobbiton was
That's
sick.
see again. That's
Hobbiton
one of the
was
reasons
sick.
why I do. 'Cause I love Lord of the Rings. I love The Hobbit. Right, I
Yeah.
would love to go.
I got I had really bad tonsillitis when I was there though. Like really,
joking.
like during Hobbiton to the point. So like you end the tour at the I want to say the Green Dragon or the
Okay.
Prancing Pony. I can't remember which one it is, but it's a pub. It's the
Yeah.
pub from the Shire in the film.
Yeah.
And you can have a pint, like it's a functional bar, and you can get a pint. And I got a cider, but I was like, at that point, I could not eat, I could not swallow. So I like nursed this cider for about 3 mouthfuls, and I was just like, I can't drink it.
Ah, you joking? Did you
horrible.
go with Sophie?
No, it was on a rugby tour.
Oh, I've said to Louise that one of my bucket list things, taking Thea as well, would be to get like a camper van and go around New Zealand.
Yeah,
You know, in
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
that'd be
like
cool.
what like a pimped up camper van. I'm not talking like,
Yeah.
but you know, you can get those like RV style ones.
Some of them look mad when
That's what I
people do
mean.
them out.
I'd
Yeah.
love to do that. Like, I just think New Zealand looks amazing.
Do you know what? It's a lot like Yorkshire. It's just a lot of like when you get into the outside, it's just a lot of like.
Not like young.
No, it is. It's just a lot of like green rolling hills.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the weather's not that dissimilar from.
No, I know.
here.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
we went in. To be fair, we did go in there technical winter.
Just
it was
go
our
Leeds
summer.
and fuck it.
Just go to Leeds. Fuck it, send your money. But that's what I quite liked about it. Like it did feel quite homely.
Yeah.
The people were really nice. Like we played like a North Island Maoris team who were all fucking
Unbelievable.
massive, like
Yeah.
ridiculously big for the age that they were. But they're really, really nice people.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
do you know what's interesting? I always think Australia's close to New Zealand, and like,
do you know what got me? So we did Sydney first.
yeah,
And I always knew Australia was closer than New Zealand, but I assumed so. It was like right, a week in Sydney, then we fly from Sydney to Auckland. So I was like, oh, buzzing, it'll be like an hour.
an hour. Like us
It
going
was
to
like
Dublin.
5 hours on the
Yeah, I
plane.
know.
I was like, that's further than from here to
I was
Greece.
talking to, I think it might have been Sophie again, and like, she lives in Perth, and she was saying to get to New Zealand, depends where in New Zealand I think, but she was like, yeah, it's like 8-9 hours.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
further
I
than
thought
us
it'd literally be
going-
like up and down.
Yeah,
like Amsterdam.
It's further than us going to Dubai. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And like, I class those as close together.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. Like, yeah, Australia's huge as well. I think it's like 2 different time zones and stuff.
Yeah, it's massive.
Anyway, we're just talking rubbish now.
Yeah, in it.
Let's actually get into the episode.
Yep. So we are going to talk about 5 signs that you need help. Help with fat loss.
I was going to say help could be anything.
Yeah.
yeah. Like
5 signs you need help with fat loss.
gonorrhea.
And it's more from so actually this one, to be fair, this came from, I saw a post on Instagram someone else had put on, and so I'm not taking credit for what we're going to use because I didn't think it up, and I can't remember what the guy was called because I don't follow him. It just popped up, and it was like 5 things people say when they're not accepting help but they think they're still going to get a result. And actually just when I was reading them I was like, this is what's like literally everybody says this, and it's not, I know it's stuff that when we hear it we're like, it's probably not going to go the way you think it is.
Yeah.
And it's probably a sign if you're saying one of these things that you might want to think about getting some help. So the first one, got them on the list there, is when someone generally will say to me like, I know what I'm doing with my nutrition, I eat pretty healthy.
Yeah. All the time. I mean, listen, this used to be me, literally.
Yeah.
Like, so when I saw that one written down, I was like, that was a flashback to me when I was like
Yeah.
18, 19.
But do you know what I think? Not the problem with that is I think it's a misunderstanding of people assume that eating healthy, because you could be eating healthy, like home cooked meals, plenty of veg, things like that, but they assume that eating healthy automatically means you'll be losing weight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I used to think.
Yeah.
I used to think as soon as I started eating, like, say, more vegetables, more chicken, more rice, more avocados, more quinoa, like all these superfoods, that you would automatically just start changing your composition, losing weight. And it used to drive me crazy because I didn't understand the law of thermodynamics, basically. And it's like, it doesn't matter how much healthy food you're eating, because ultimately it comes down to the actual calorie consumption.
Yeah. And then I think people's perceptions of healthy is so different. Like some people will be like, when they say they eat healthy, it might be like they have Weetabix for breakfast, then they'll have like a sandwich for the lunch, but they won't have a chocolate bar with it. It'll just be a sandwich. And then they might have like a home cooked meal for the tea, like a spaghetti bolognese or a chili or whatever it is. And
by the way, there's nothing wrong with that.
no, and then they might have a couple of pieces of fruit through the day.
Yeah.
And that's like eating healthy. And I guess it's not eating bad. It's certainly
Yeah.
not unhealthy, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be losing weight or certainly eating in a way that's going to help you get the body that you want.
100% not. And do you know what, actually, like this, my issue with eating healthy as well is because, again, you could be eating healthy, like absolutely no problem at all. On one hand, you could be, and this is, on one hand, you could be eating too much of the healthy foods, which means you're not getting the result you want because you're still eating too many calories. That's not often the case. Like, generally speaking, when people eat healthy, they actually don't eat enough.
Yeah.
And this is where the issue comes in because they'll eat very little healthy food Monday through till Friday, and they'll just massively overconsume at the weekend.
Yeah.
And then it's, okay, back to eating healthy again on the Monday. But ultimately, the calorie balance, because you're having those massive then blowouts at the weekend, it doesn't matter how healthy you're being Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So it's trying to, that's a sure sign that you might need a little bit of help. And again, it's like healthy or eating clean. They're the two ones.
Yeah. And I think it's putting into context like healthy doesn't really matter. It's more about what your body needs at that time because healthy it depends on the context, right? Because if you get someone, so I had a client last weekend or the weekend before even, who did an Ironman over 3 days, and on an evening after he'd done each event, so the swim, then the bike, then the run, he had a pizza in the evening, and we were like, well, yeah, of course, because you've just run a fucking marathon, like you need the calories. A pizza in that context is pretty healthy because you need it. So I think it's just understanding what your body needs at that time and then how you can get that in from the nutrition.
Yeah, and it's viewing things differently. Like I saw a really funny, like, I don't know what you call them, GIF or meme or whatever it is. And it was basically saying, I eat all these things separately, as in like beef mince, tomato, lettuce, bread or whatever, and it's healthy. I put them all together and it's unhealthy, you know, on a burger, basically.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, and when you think about it, it's like 100% right.
Yeah.
You put all of that stuff on a plate, you class it as a healthy meal. But then as soon as it goes on a burger, all of a sudden it's not healthy.
Yeah.
So it's then you understanding actually, it's the food itself, like a burger itself or a pizza itself, isn't necessarily unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's understanding why you're eating that thing and the requirements you've got for that thing.
Yeah. Exactly that. The second thing that came up was when people say, I know what I need to do, I just need to do it. And it's like, I mean, everybody says this at one point. We've said it at points, but it's kind of like...
This is part of our whole message, I think, really.
Like, we always say, you do know what you need to do. Like, if we were to put a gun to your head or pull anyone random off the street and be like, what do you think you need to do to lose weight? Yeah, most people know.
I say to when I'm doing my check-ins to clients, half the time I'm like, listen, you know what to do. Like, you don't need me because you don't know what to do. You need me to understand the stuff around that to help you understand how we're going to get into the position you want to be in. And it's so true because knowledge is literally, some of it's fucking awful, but knowledge is everywhere. Like, you can literally get everything from mine and Jake's page, like on Instagram, to get yourself into great shape. Like
every podcast.
Off his podcast as well. But, you know, to get yourself into great shape. The reality is you probably won't do it without the support and the accountability.
Yeah.
In fact, I've literally just had a message off one of my clients who's just started this week, and she's just messaged me. Her words are, and she's in good shape. She's always lifted, always watched the calories and stuff. She understands it, like she knows what to do. But she just messaged saying it's crazy how having a coach, how paying a coach, this is her exact words, crazy how paying a coach, how much it can make a difference just having that accountability. And it's huge. It's absolutely huge.
It is, because it's that bit where you say, I just need to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what's going to make you do it?
Yeah.
Because
And
you've not been doing it up to this point, and you're not going to make yourself do it
Yeah.
until you think you're in a good position or in a good time to do it.
Yeah.
That's where that accountability comes in of, no, someone's actually going to come along and make you do it.
Yeah. It's literally is our message the whole way through. It's
Yeah.
like most people know what to do. That's fine.
Yeah.
You just need to actually do it.
So if you're saying that, it's probably because you need to kick up the arse to actually do it.
Yeah.
Number 3 was along the lines of, I just need to get through this busy month and then things will be easier and I can be more consistent.
Yeah.
We've had a rant about this in the last few episodes.
Yeah, I think we've actually got a rant later on as well today just about the same thing because it is driving me crazy at the moment. But listen, this is that whole clear run thing. It's exactly that, isn't it? Like, you will never get a clear run. So even for me at this moment, actually, I put up I don't know if you saw my story yesterday when I was like, the problem with dieting or like, you know,
you put up all your different weights, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like my different weights, like for the last kind of 6 weeks at the start of every single week, and we're seeing it spike because I've had a holiday. I went to Cornwall for a week where I definitely overindulged. Then I had a stag do where I drank about 79 pints. Then I had my birthday where naturally, listen, I didn't go crazy on my birthday because I'm old as shit and we don't celebrate it that much anymore. But, you know, I had a few pizzas and a little bit of homemade pizzas, that is. Didn't like eat a few Dominoes. And a couple of beers and things. So naturally there was things going on within that month. So I could have easily just been like, oh, fuck it. I'll wait till next month. But I thought, well, if you think about it realistically, you've got two options. You either deal with those things and just take them for what they are and just kind of nail the days around it and probably get somewhere, even if it's not exactly what you want, or you can use all those things as a reason not to do anything at all and get more out of shape and have more work to do on the back end of it.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, at the end of it, like you look at it, I'm about 4 kilos down in 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
Which for me is probably quite slow, but everything considered, it's all right.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And sometimes I'll say to clients, or even just people that I have this conversation with, and they're like, oh, I might start coaching in a couple of months because I've got quite a bit on this month and I just need to get through it. And I'll kind of say, and that's fine, but I'll kind of say, okay, just out of interest, of all the things you've got coming up in this month, how many of them did you know about at the start of last month? Usually it's maybe half. So they'll be like, oh, well, 2 or 3 of the events have been in the planning for a while, but these things have just kind of popped up. So then it's like, right, well, what do you think the chances are that next month more stuff's going to pop up that you don't know about right now? Pretty nailed on, 'cause stuff always does. So waiting until all these things have gone, like we said a million times before.
The things being on is the reason you need coaching, though.
Yeah, that's literally when you need the help.
That's when you need the help, because if you then don't have anything the next month, you probably don't need us as much that month. Like, you know, it's more to learn how to navigate the things that you've got going on, which are the things which probably get you out of shape.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so the next one was basically along the lines of, I do great with my eating and my training during the week. It's just the weekends I need to get a handle of.
Fucking you and everyone else.
Yeah.
The weekends are obviously challenging for most people, especially when you've got family, friends, and socials and things. But yeah, again, I kind of going back to, I know what to do, I just need to do it. It's, you probably know that you need to rein it in a bit the weekends. You probably know that you need a bit more accountability at the weekends, and that's kind of again what it all comes down to, right? Is having that support, having that structure, having someone say, well, listen, you've got this social event on, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this, we're going to change that, and that means you're still going to be able to go and enjoy yourself, and we're still going to make progress. You know, it's just having that plan, it's having that structure, it's having that accountability.
Yeah, and it's nice on the weekend to have something to look forward to. There's no reason why you can't be like, okay, we're going to work in an off-plan meal every single weekend, or we might have more calories, like refeed days on weekends, where through the week you might be a bit stricter with your calories, with your protein tracking, everything like that. Then on the weekend we have more food to look forward to because you might be going out with the family, with kids, whatever it is. That's fine, but you still need to be able to be consistent with that. And I think it's just finding ways of working that into your weekends, whatever they look like.
I've got a client who, on a Sunday, he lives in the US, and on a Sunday they make pizzas every single week.
Right. Yeah.
And then he always said to me when he came to coaching, he's like, "But they get us out of control. I'll have like 3-4 pizzas, hold some of ice cream, some chocolate on top of that, maybe another dessert." And it's like, I know I need that structure. He's in really good shape. Like he is in really good shape. And since coming into coaching, we've still kept that in there because it's important to him and he does need that downtime, but we've just got more structure around it. We've got more planning around it. So now he knows what he needs to do during the week in order to have that little bit of a refeed. We've obviously reined the refeed in a little bit and he's making progress.
Yeah. It's literally that. It's just, like you said, you just need that structure and the accountability makes, if you've never had it, I don't think you can quite understand like the psychological difference that it makes to having it like straight away.
Yeah. But basically, just
there's only one way to find out how it feels.
Like someone in your ear, isn't it? Like the whole time. Yeah.
It's that little niggle where on those moments where normally you'd be like, oh, fuck it, can't be arsed, I'll just do whatever. You have that little niggle of shit, I need to do it because Jake's going to be checking up on me. Like it's literally just that. It's not like a fuck's sake, I've got to do this, but it's just that little niggle of Jake's going to be checking on this. I better do it. Yeah. And it just becomes habit over time. So you just automatically make, not every time, but for the most part, those better decisions.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you actually want to, and it just becomes 100%. Part of, like, why you brush your teeth in the morning, because you just do. It just becomes part of your routine.
Yeah, 100%.
And the last one was basically blank just always gets me off track. And it's basically saying, like, you know, like, it could be like chocolate, it could be more often than not beer or something like that, or a social occasion like the football, the Euros, for example. I don't know if you've had many clients or just speaking to many people that are like, oh, things were going great, and the Euros started, and I always have a beer with the Euros and a bit of food, which is fine, you can do. But
I've actually started, so I've because obviously doing my check-ins reasonably at the start of the week, and I've had a few guys check in saying, I had a few basic weekend video auros, but I'm off it this week, because like, they had a heavy night. I'm like, listen, come Saturday.
you're going to want
Saturday afternoon, 5 o'clock.
especially after you've watched England for less than 10 minutes, you watch them and you want a beer.
You need a beer to get through that shit. So I'm like, listen, we're going to build it in regardless of what you think right now, because come Saturday, you're going to want one.
But I think it's one of those. So how do you approach it? Because it depends on the person, doesn't it? Because if someone says to me, if I have a bit of chocolate or I know it's in the house, I know I'm going to go crazy for it.
That's me.
Yeah. It's really hard then because it's like you're stuck with that decision of, well, do I completely eradicate it, but then the want for it is probably going to grow and grow, or do I try and plan ahead and have some of it in and try and control that urge a little bit more?
It's a tough one. It is really a tough one, but I am very much that person of like, I don't have much self-control. And that's just me, right? It's just the way I am. It's just the way I work. So I know if I always remember the Pringles advert back in the day. Once you pop, and that is literally just the best way to describe me. Okay, if I open a bag of crisps, the whole thing's getting eaten. If I open a chocolate bar, the whole thing's getting eaten, like without a shadow of a doubt. So for me, it does work better to remove that from my environment, and then I'll build in say a Saturday night. I'll actually build in a bit of chocolate, or build in the thing that I want, and that works better for me because once I have it, it's out my system, absolutely fine, no problem at all. I know some people can have like a little bit of moderation.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
I'm not too bad with the moderation, to be fair. I think the only thing that does tip it would be like Ben and Jerry's. That's the only thing where if I have half a tub, 9 times out of 10, I'm like,
It's so easy to eat a full tub.
Especially at the minute because I'm like, I'm in a gaining phase, so it doesn't matter.
It's over 1,000 calories.
Oh, it's a fair amount.
It's so easy to put it away, mate. Mental.
But yeah, I guess it does vary person, and you have to know how you work best. For me personally, I try to go in with the approach of people, unless I know that there's more going on with their relationship to that certain food, and it needs to be a little bit more sort of tactical with it. I will generally say, look, let's try and knock it on the head for 4-6 weeks. Try and get as much progress as we can.
Yeah.
And then once we're in a bit of a better position, we'll bring it back in.
That's what I do. I think, listen, especially if you've got a goal of fat loss and getting lean, like let's get you lean first.
Yeah.
Right. And then this is what I said to this guy about the pizza and the Sundays and stuff. I said, we do have to moderate them because it is going to ruin your progress. So what we need to do is we need to just rein it in for a bit. But once you're in a better position, we'll start to bring calories back up and we'll show you how to bring it back in properly and moderate it,
Yeah, I think it's literally just that. There's different approaches, and you've got to kind of find the way that works for you. And the other thing to remember is as well, I think cravings for those things are always the worst in the first 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of goes like, it goes up, and then it'll really start to dip the further you go into a diet. And then on the back end, once you've been doing it for a while, they'll start to come back in again. But that's fine, because by that point, you should have made a good chunk of progress, and you can work it in or be a bit more flexible. But I always try and say to people in the first couple of weeks, like, as bad as the cravings are now, if you genuinely just grit your teeth and stick it out, they'll go. They'll go for a good long while.
Yeah, and then you're in that. Then you've got momentum and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that's it. Those were the 5 things. I just thought I saw it and I was like, do you know what? Those are dead on.
Yeah,
those are really good, because I think sometimes you find yourself, and like I said, we'll have said them before. You find yourself saying them without really meaning it or thinking about it or kind of using it as a bit of a throwaway excuse.
It's one of them passive things that people just say, innit? It's like,
makes yourself feel better. You're like,
exactly. Like it's almost like that procrastination thing of being like, I'll do it, but just
So we're calling it out right now. We're saying if you're saying that, and if you know you say that, now's the time to drop me a message. Not Jake, me.
Yeah, if you want real coaching, go to
physique fuck up.
Yes.
It's not so much of a fuck up. We say this every week. We've called it physique fuck up, and every week we're like, it's not really a fuck up, but maybe we change your name. It was just
talk about it,
a headline I saw that I wanted your opinion on, because when I first read it, I was like, it's going to be bullshit. But then I thought about it and I was like, to be fair, it could work. So it was Conor McGregor's former dietitian, nutritionist for when he was fighting, reveals this dieting hack that stops all sugar cravings. Okay. I saw the headline and I was like, that's clickbait as fuck. Like, this is going to be bullshit. Headline. Yeah. I was like, this is going to be bullshit.
Yeah.
And I read the article, and basically all he said he does is, when those cravings come on, he tells his athletes, or like Conor McGregor in this instance, to get a glass of water, mix some cinnamon into it, and some psyllium husk. Okay. And at first I was like, what the fuck's that going to do? But then I was kind of thinking about it, and I don't know if it works or it doesn't. It could be complete bullshit. It could be a psychology trick, but cinnamon is good for reducing your blood sugar. Mm-hmm. We know that. So obviously when your blood sugar is high, you do get more cravings. Mm-hmm. So it could help from that sense. And then psyllium husk, obviously, it does actually help sort of block you up a little bit. It's quite fibrous.
Yeah.
So actually, when I was thinking about it, I was like, that might not. I don't think it is like a hack. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to make any huge difference.
I think so. I mean, because you are right. Those two things, in theory, could potentially
Could work.
help a little bit.
Cinnamon's
Right?
quite nice. It might just take the sweet tooth edge off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I think
Don't know how nice
it's
it'd be to
more. I think it's more right if you're not kind of massively clued up.
drink.
It's almost like that kind of. It's not the. I always get this one wrong. It's not the libido effect because that's not. What is it when you have like a pre-workout and you,
What, placebo effect? Libido effect.
I would probably say. So the placebo effect, it's like it could,
Take this. You will be horny as fuck for the rest of the day.
yeah, but no, it's just take
Science.
Viagra.
We've just said that we could back up the science talk.
Yeah, about
And you've
fitness. But no, I think it could be a placebo thing for sure. Because like, if you don't know loads about this,
Yeah.
and someone says take this is going to stop your sugar cravings. I can understand why you'd.
Especially someone with a bit of clout, if they
Yeah,
are
definitely.
quite well respected in the field, you'd probably buy into it a
Yeah,
bit.
100%.
So, I mean, look, by no stretch am I saying, yeah, this could work. Next time you've got a craving, go give this a go. I don't think it
That's
will.
what I'm doing with all my clients now.
But it just, I wanted to bring it because it actually just sort of, when I thought about it, it did stop me in my tracks in a little bit. Whereas all the other shit like apple cider vinegar and lemon juice is like bullshit, doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I was like, the mechanisms behind how these two things actually work
Could actually.
does make sense as to how it could have a little bit of a benefit.
I think that, along with the fact that someone's telling you that's going to happen, so you're expecting it to happen,
Yeah.
would probably
Yeah.
work a little bit.
It's a libido effect, mate.
There you go.
That's the libido effect for you.
Making everyone horny.
Fucking hell. Right. Well, we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Like the video, please subscribe to the channel.
We always forget that, don't we?
Yeah, when I come back to edit them, I'm like, we didn't do the. We should do them at the start. We always say that, and then we always forget.
Yeah. Share, X, tweet, message, whatever you do.
Bebo, MySpace.
Right. Nice one, guys.
Catch you in the next
In a
one.
bit.